Hello, good afternoon and welcome. This is the fourth video in the Bailey Group's coronavirus update. This one, like the other three before it, will have a question and answer session at the end, so keep your ears and eyes peeled for that. So today, as I said last week in our third video, today we're going to be talking about the furloughing of staff, and also at the end I'm going to be talking a bit about self-employment and grants that we can get from the government. So in relation to the furloughing of staff then, let's start from the beginning. What actually is furloughing? Well, furloughing is the process by which you can make your staff redundant without actually making them redundant. I know that sounds silly, but that's essentially what it is. So furloughing means that you put your staff on leave of absence. They do not get made redundant. They're still employees of yours and they still have employment rights, just as you have employer rights. So you have to be very, very careful what you do with your staff. Now, your staff are not allowed to work for you if they are furloughed. And when they are furloughed, that actually means that they are not working for you. So you have to be very careful about that. They can do administration tasks and they can do training and some voluntary work. So what you need to be aware of is that they're not allowed to be doing any revenue generating stuff. So they can't call clients, they can't take phone calls. You've got to be really careful about that piece. So how do I actually put a staff member on furlough? Very simple, you write to them. Clearly you should be talking to your staff at all times, and clearly you should be making sure that they agree with what you're doing. Now this is obviously going to be saving their jobs, and so they should be welcoming it. Now the government will pay you 80% of their wage. If you wish to make that up to 100%, as an employer, you're absolutely entitled to. The 80% will be paid to you as the employer, not to the staff member. The 80% is not repayable to the government after the scheme ends, which is, the scheme's length is 3 months. So after the end of that 3-month period, the grant will not be repayable to the government. It will be taxable, however, so be careful about that one. And you will still have to pay the pay as you earn that is due on those salaries. Remember that one as well, please. And the pension contributions are still to be paid, as are any other contributions that are taken out of an employee's wages. So please be very careful about that. So the hint here is run the wages as normal at the 80% level or the 100% level, whatever you're paying. Pay all the deductions over to the normal people as you would pay them and claim the money from the government. So the scheme was backdated to the 1st of March. I have had lots of clients ringing in saying, can we please claim from the 1st of March? The answer quite simply is, yes, of course you can, unless you've been working between the 1st and the 20th. The 20th was when it was announced. So if you were working between those periods, then clearly you can't. If you weren't and you put your staff on furlough before those dates, between the 1st and 20th, then clearly you can. Now, most of our clients didn't know about the furlough scheme before the 20th of March, therefore their staff couldn't have been furloughed. So the furlough dates probably start from the 20th of March. What happens is that each furlough period is 3 weeks, and so you will be claiming from the government on a 3 weekly period time. Now, the government did announce to start with that the pay period that they'd be basing everything on will be the 29th of February. As I say in all my videos, this is changing daily. And yes, lo and behold, Monday this week they brought out a new date, so it's now not the 20th of February that the pay date relates to. Anyone who is employed on the 19th of March, in other words, the day before it was announced by the Chancellor, anyone who is employed on the 19th of March is now available to be claimed for. So the government think that will affect 200,000 employees. So please be aware of that point. When we're talking about the claim form from HMRC is coming out on the 20th of April, in other words, Monday. And yes, you will have to fill in a form and apply for the grant. Now, again, this form is being tested at the moment by HMRC, and we are told that less than 100 employees, you'll have to put in the names and national insurance numbers of each employee. Over 100, you can upload it directly with a spreadsheet into the form. You'll need to put your bank details on the form and the amount of money that you are claiming. That will then be paid into your bank by HMRC. They say they will do this within 14 days. So by the end of April, essentially. So we just need to be aware of that fact that you may have to pay April's wages before you get this money. So be careful about that, please. I also get questions around what happens to if I'm a director of a company on my own. Can I furlough myself? The rules for directors are exactly the same. You can do, excuse me, you can be furloughed if you're a director. But be careful. The rules that I say apply to both. So if you're an employee or a director, you're not allowed to work. So directors cannot chase new contracts. They cannot organise work for their employees. So basically, if you're a director, your company probably has to have been closed to make sure that you are able to be furloughed. The government, obviously, HMRC, will clearly do audits of all of these claims. So you need to make sure that you're correct in what you're doing, and you need to make sure that the claims are valid and not fraudulent. Obviously, for our clients, we will do the claim for you. We will investigate anything that you want us to look through in the claim. So, for example, have I correctly furloughed my staff? Yes, we can look at that. Which staff are furloughed? We can look at that for you. We can do the claim, calculate the amount of refund or credit that you'll be getting from HMRC, and then that will be paid to your bank. We have a form for that. If you want to contact the firm through your manager or through our marketing department, they can send you out the form which for furloughing as well as for the claim itself. So you can sign the claim off before it goes in, so you'll know exactly how much money you're going to get. So let's turn to my questions in this part of the video. I've got 5 quite important questions on furlough this week. The first one I've slightly answered. It's from Barry, who lives on the moors above Yorkshire. And Barry says, is the furlough taxable and is it repayable? Well, the answer, Barry, is yes to taxable, no to repayable. So you'll get the furlough payment off HMRC, the 80%, and it becomes a taxable entity in your accounts. The next question is from Malcolm in London. I've got 2 jobs. I earn £35,000 a year in each. Can I be furloughed in both? Well, the answer is yes, you can. There is a maximum you can receive, £2,500 in each job, but it relates to each job. So Malcolm is in a very fortunate situation there in that he's going to get £5,000 a month potentially, if the claim goes right. The next question is from Simon in Stockton, who works for Sports Direct, Mike Ashley's company. You'll all have heard of Mike. He's on a 0 hours contract. What happens with Simon? Well, Simon, if he's on a 0 hours contract, obviously he can't get 80% of 0 hours. So what the rule is with a 0 hours contract is you go back to the previous year and you look at what happened in the same month last year and see what pay you got then, and you'll get 80% of that pay. Mike Ashley is obviously one of Simon's best friends, I think, because he loves working for Sports Direct. My next one is from David in Hartlepool. David's a regular contributor to our little question and answers. David says, if I have a state pension, am I allowed to be furloughed? Of course you are. Yes, of course you are. State pension and furloughing are completely separate things. If you have other income, you can be furloughed from your job. Furloughing is open to all businesses and all employees. And the final question today comes from little Harry Vokes in Middlesbrough, who's got 2 jobs. Harry works for his grandfather, helping out in his building and his property business, and he also has a job on his own where he started his own little construction business. Again, Harry wants to know, can he be furloughed from both? And his grandfather's not going to pay him the 100%, he'll only pay him 80%. So yes, Harry, you can be furloughed from both, and unfortunately your grandfather won't pay you the full 100%, he'll only pay you the 80% that he gets back off the government. So that's the furloughing for today. Again, as more comes out, we'll be talking about that next week as well, so look out for that. The final piece today is about self-employment grants. I just wanted to go over these because, again, these are changing all the time. New legislation gets brought out on a weekly basis. So just to go over them very quickly, if you're self-employed, 80% of your last 3 years self-employment income will be averaged on a month-by-month basis and will be paid to you. There are a few criteria you have to hit here. It's got to be more than 50% of your total income. If you have more than one trade, the HMRC will add the trades together. They don't count losses, so losses do not get deducted, which is really important. If your income is more than £50,000, you will not qualify, and they don't take into account your personal allowances. Now, as I said last week, the self-employment grant actually is going to be paid in or around June, so that'll be after the employed grant. So you'll have to wait another couple of months for that yet. Again, I suspect it will be the same, a portal set up by HMRC, put the figures in, and let's see where we go from there. I think. I don't know, but that's where I think that will go. So that's all for this week. Let's hope that you all keep safe and you all had a lovely Easter. We certainly enjoyed our Easter eggs. Thanks very much. And let's hope that we come out of this safely and all is well. Thanks very much.